You're listening to If Only I Were Wiser podcast, where Raina Wilson brings together wisdom and raw life stories to provide encouragement and truth. So many times it's easy to become discouraged in your own pursuit of health because your story or circumstances look drastically different from your favorite influencer or even the expectations you had for yourself. If that is you, welcome! This space is for you to learn, breathe, and maybe just listen and see what wellness could look like for you. Hey friends, welcome back to the If Only I Were Wiser podcast. On today's episode, I have fellow TCU alumni and fitness bestie, Jacquilyne Keene. Jacquilyne has been all in the fitness world since she was about 19. And after going through her own ups and downs of all things health and fitness, she became passionate about sharing her story with you. And thus, Honeycomb Training was born. In this episode, we break up with society's beauty standards, and we chat about what it looks like to pursue health outside of college or organized sports. So if you're a recovering athlete like us, and you're trying to find sustainable habits while adulting, you won't want to miss this girl chat, so let's dive in. Hello, Jacqui. Welcome to the If Only I Were Wiser podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course. I have loved just getting to chat a little bit this morning and talk about
Just the hardness that comes with trying to be a content creator and the mess that comes with starting out that people don't typically see. So thank you for your grace with that. It is wild. It's definitely, we were saying it earlier, but it makes you respect the people who succeed at it and do a good job for sure. Because there's a huge learning curve no one sees. It's behind the closed doors. So
Absolutely. So I would love just to start out by a little bit about you. What does your family look like? What does content creation look like for you right now? All of the fun things.
okay. Yes, I was born and raised in Northern California. So I did not grow up in Texas. I've been here for a little over 10 years now, though. So now I kind of like, if people ask me, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm from Texas, but that is not the case. I feel like a true Texan that's been here forever. But I grew up in California. I have my mom, my dad, and then I have an older brother. Me and him are super close. We grew up just being the best of friends, and as we got older, we got even closer. Which is interesting because he's actually in Tennessee right now pursuing his dream in music.
Wow.
And yeah, so a lot of that, even though like I'm more in the health and fitness and he's in music, we've been able to bounce ideas off of each other and like the struggles that you're talking about with like behind the scenes of content creation and everything. He's going through the same thing. So we talk about that a lot. And then I got married almost on August 1st. It'll be 3 years ago. So
That's crazy.
time has gone by so fast. I remember like going on my first date with them and being like, oh my gosh. And now it's been 3 years. So, you, from your story, you know how that can be. You get married and then before you know it, you're pregnant. And that is just like
And life happens.
so much of life happens. Yeah. So, got married 3 years ago or almost 3 years ago. And we just have been enjoying life. We've been traveling a lot. We've been putting on a lot of things for our community and growing friendships and just having a good time learning about each other and learning how to live together and just all the fun things that marriage is. And we've gone through a lot of like business side of things together. Like when we were engaged, we bought an epoxy company and then sold it and then bought a franchise location of a garage door company and then finished that. And now my husband's actually starting to, he wants to start a winery. So he's been working on that and he's going to do it back in California where I grew up. So we'll be going back and forth quite a bit. But while we've been doing all of that together, before this winery thing, we kind of hit a point where I was like, I feel very blessed to where I could kind of pursue my own thing and I wouldn't have to do it necessarily with him. And so that was kind of, and when we both knew, like even when we were dating, I was very big on like, my dream is to be a mother. I want lots of kids and I'm excited for that. But I just, we dated for 4 months before we got married. Or got engaged. So we were married within a year and we were like, we want to have fun and hang out first. But now that I haven't been working, or now I am, but before I started Honeycomb Training, I wasn't working for probably a year. And I got to pour a lot into community in that time. But towards the end of the year, I was just like, okay, it'd be nice to do something that I'm passionate about that I could like help others with. hopefully make the world a better place with. And I always loved, health and fitness. So I got my certification and I had no idea what I wanted to do with it after. So it's probably like 4 months, and that's a part of my whole story too. But about 4 or 5 months later, Honeycomb Training came to be, and so now I'm doing that full time, and it's a journey, but it is so fun. It's amazing.
So because I've always seen you involved in health and fitness. Where did that start for you? Was it in college? Was it high school sports? Where did, that kind of seed plant itself?
Right. So I was always in sports growing up. Like my brother was the artistic one, I was the athletic one. So
Mm-hmm.
I was very involved. I dabbled in everything. The only thing I really didn't dabble in was probably basketball and soccer. Other than when I was like 4 years old, I did soccer, but I pretty much did every other sport there was. But I never really viewed it as like a health and fitness journey. It was just like, I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this to meet friends. And I met a lot of people through it, and it was great. And it taught me leadership. It taught me community with groups of girls. So I liked that. But where it really started was when I was at TCU. And when I went into college, I was very much like, I'm not going to gain the freshman 15. Like, that's not
Mm-hmm.
happening. And so I went in and I was really good about what I ate. And I did cheer at DBU for my first year. So it kind of just was like, I had that activity there. And then when I
Mm-hmm.
quit cheer after my freshman year, I kind of like went off the rails with my food. Like I would eat Taco Bell
Yeah.
like 3 times a week. I was like, I didn't gain the freshman 15, so I'm fine. And so I just like kind of ate whatever I wanted to. And unfortunately, my taste buds love like all the junk food in the world. I love it. And so, I just started eating a lot of unhealthy things, and I ended up gaining like 20 pounds from it. And I was still kind of working out, but not much. And then after my sophomore year, and to put it in perspective, 20 pounds on a 5 foot tall girl it's noticeable. And so I was kind of like living this life, like just very unhealthy. And I
Mm-hmm.
understand that right now I'm kind of totally focusing on my appearance, but that's what got me into it was after my sophomore year, I like looked in the mirror and I was standing next to my mom and we like took a little mirror picture. And after I was like, whoa. And I just like noticed like I let go of myself. And at that point in time, it was solely in my mind about appearance. Like I was like, whoa, I've gained a lot of weight. And so then transferred to TCU 2 year or a summer after, transferred to TCU. So it was my junior year. And that was when I was like, okay, I want to eat healthy. I want to go to the gym. But weirdly enough, like even though what got me doing that was noticing myself in the mirror, when I was doing it,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going in every day like, I'm going to lose weight. I was going in like, I want to be healthy.
Right.
This is going to be fun. And that's kind of all where it started. So all started right around TCU when I first went there and started losing that weight, started feeling better. And that's how it all began. So then I just fell in love with it.
Yeah. What was that progression like to, like you said, you started in the gym and then it is this sweet place where
Yeah.
I think it's a grace that the Lord gives us to actually fall in love with what we're doing
Right.
versus it being, you know, maybe not the best intentions at the beginning. But what was that progression like for you once you started getting in the gym? And I think maybe just an encouragement to girls that
Yeah.
are hearing this story and are like, wait, that's where I'm at right now.
Right.
And are thinking, first of all, I don't want to walk into the gym. It's like, let's start there. What would you say to the girls that are like, I want to be healthier aesthetically? Yeah, I want to make some improvements, but
Right.
I don't want to walk into the gym.
Gosh, there's so much. I feel like when you've been in it for this long, like there's so many things that I wish I could tell people, just girls all the time, because it's taken me literally years to train my brain and get back to
Mm-hmm.
that sweet spot of like, just enjoy it. Like, go in,
Right.
get stronger, improve your life, and that's it. Like, you don't need to go in with a specific, I want my butt to grow or I want my abs to look more this or
Right.
that. And so, if anything, I would say, well, first off, about walking into the gym, I would encourage girls by saying nobody looks at you. Like nobody's focused on you because they're so focused on their own thing. And like, yeah, you might look around and make eye contact with someone here or there, but like I have fallen in the gym before. Like I have tripped over stuff and fallen and no one has noticed. And it's actually pretty shocking. You'd be like, is anyone going to help me up off the ground? But like
Yeah.
literally no one notices you at all. And they're so focused on lifting weights on their own and looking at their own muscles and doing all that kinds of stuff that they're not paying attention. So I would encourage girls to go in and first, like, don't jump into the deep end. Like, go to the weights, grab a set of weights, then go in a corner. And I know that like now they're calling it like the shy girl workout, and like go in the corner, grab your dumbbells and just do some weightlifting there. Like you don't have to go to the barbell where you're like racking weights on each side. You don't have to go to the machines where you're like, how does this even work? Just go pick up some dumbbells and start there, and you'll get comfortable just being around people. And then from there you can be like, okay, I'm going to dabble in going on the machine, and don't be embarrassed about it's funny. I just posted about this yesterday on my Instagram, but like, don't be embarrassed about reading the instructions, or if you trip, don't be embarrassed. Like, there's so many things that we're like so nervous about going to the gym, and no one notices it, like what I said earlier. But also, it's like, who cares? You're only probably going to see them at the gym. It really doesn't matter, and you don't go to the gym for them anyways. You're going for yourself. So, that would be my encouragement when going into the gym, and then just with like sticking to your process in the gym, and as you grow and grow, like just try as hard as you can to like keep those roots of like, I'm coming here to be healthy, and I'm coming here to get stronger. And at the
Right.
end of the day, yes, your body will start, like your physique will start changing, and your physique will start to become like a stronger being. But your whole like journey when going, and your whole point of going to the gym, I would encourage it not to be like, I want this specific goal of like, and granted, there are people who go in and who, yes, they might need to lose 20 or 30 pounds, and they know that. But to go in and rather be like, I'm going to be healthy, and the weight will happen. Like the weight will, like it will shed off when it needs to shed off. But right now I'm going in to just improve my life and physically get stronger. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, I have to ask, what, maybe it is the instance that you felt, what is one of your most embarrassing gym moments?
Okay. Oh man. Let's see. Wow. I've never thought of that. I feel like I've had so many little embarrassing moments throughout my time. I've had it where I was, well, I guess both of these are stepping up. So I got issues with stairs. Okay, so one was like I was on the stair stepper, and as I'm going up, I started like increasing the speed, and I was like, I feel so good. And as I'm doing it, I completely like tripped and ate it. Like I fell down the stairs. Not like, oh, I tripped over myself and caught it. I like fell down the stairs. And this was at TCU, like in the big gym. And I was like, oh my God. And no one saw it. I was like, how did no one see that? And then the second thing was I was using the bench to like step up onto, and I had weights in my hand, which made it even worse. And I stepped up, and my foot caught on the chair, and I completely fell over the bench. And it was so,
Yeah.
it was so bad. But it humbles you, you know, you got to be humbled in situations sometimes. So
Yeah. I've completely hit myself in the face with a barbell, like trying to do
that
a clean and
hurts.
jerk. Boom, right in the forehead. I'm trying to think. I've also had forgot to put, I don't even think I forgot to put clips, but I put uneven weight on the bar to bench.
Oh, geez.
And then like unracked, put it up, and immediately was like, wait a minute, I'm falling.
Oh, gee.
And it all falls to the side. And I was
That's so
saying,
funny.
I totally agree. Nobody's watching you. I think that's one of the biggest lies that girls believe when they walk into the gym is everybody's watching me. And honestly, like I would say 95% of the time, nobody's watching you unless you're like me and you completely just dropped your whole set of barbell and said weights
Yes.
off your bench.
And what's cool about that is and what's cool about that is when that happens, like that 5% that's watching, they come help. They don't just look at you. They don't just look at you and are like, oh my gosh, how
Right.
embarrassing is that? They look at it and go, oh crap, we've all been there. Like, I should go help. Like, that's what people do.
Yep. And then, yeah, that's been the space where I've like made it gym bro friendships. Like those have been the people that I like see later on or at different times. They're like, hey, do you need a spot? I'm like, yes, always. But
Sure, please. Yes.
yeah, I think the gym intimidation keeps so many people from attempting a healthier lifestyle
Right.
because it's this perception of I'm being watched, I'm being judged, and somebody's going to see right through me.
Oh, yeah.
Which, like you said, like you're going in with the intention to be healthier. And one of the points that I wanted to touch on that you mentioned was motivation. Like the idea of motivation isn't this like warm, fuzzy feeling.
Right.
Like the root of motivation is discipline.
Right.
You are not going to be motivated every single day that you're on your program.
That's for sure.
Motivation is showing up on the days that you really don't want to show up at all.
Right. Right. For sure. Like I actually, this morning was one of them. If I'm going to be really honest, I got out of the car and I looked at my husband and I went, I really don't want to be here this morning. Like, I do not want to work out today. And I went in and sometimes like one thing that I help to tell myself so you don't get burnt out or anything like that is I will actually think to myself, my accomplishment today was showing up. And if I don't lift as heavy as I normally lift, and if I have to take longer breaks, or if I maybe don't do one of my movements, I don't do one, but I showed up today. And that's what matters, because doing something is better than doing nothing at all. And that's helped me a lot because it doesn't put that pressure. And trust me, with my story, I've gone through my phases where I don't think that way. Like, I've been so hard on myself and all of that. And it's led me down a darker path with health and fitness. But now I'm at this place where I'm like, I showed up and I did what I needed to do. And I'm going to leave stronger, whether that's, 1% stronger than yesterday, whether that's 0.01% stronger than yesterday. I'm leaving and I know I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. So it helps me with my discipline to show up.
Absolutely. And for me, I think the awareness and understanding of cyclical fitness, or just like my cycle in general, has mentally provided such a huge, not excuse, but I think just general understanding of, hey, I am literally about to start my period.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I have low energy. My hormones are all at an all-time low. Whereas if you had asked Raina 3 years ago, training at the rec at TCU, that I was beating myself up on the days that, like, the week I was about to start my period, oh my gosh, I'm so slow. My workouts feel like trash. Like, gosh, like I'm so lazy. I definitely have more grace for myself now, with the understanding that I wish I had been so much kinder to that Raina, but I'm thankful that I can be now, knowing this week, cool, like, I'm going to adjust my sets, I'm going to adjust my reps, and like, that's okay.
For sure. Yeah, that helps a lot. I've heard a lot of women have, and this is again part of my story too, but like, I haven't had a cycle in 2 years. So I have been,
wow.
I have PCOS. So I've just been through a lot of stuff with that. I'm still figuring that out. And so I think you saying that is huge, because a lot of girls, of course, have irregular periods or they have PCOS or whatnot, but a lot of girls have regular cycles. So for those girls to know, I'm about to start my period, this is what could potentially happen from it. I could feel weaker. I could maybe not lift as heavy as I usually lift. Like, that's a good thing to know. And even for girls with irregular cycles, they might not know when it's coming. But the thing is, like, they'll go into the gym, they might feel weaker or slower, and then like a few days later it'll happen and they're like, oh, that's why. And you know what? Even if like you don't have your cycle, if you go in and there's a day you feel weaker, there's a day you feel weaker. Like, it's not the end of the world, So it's just giving us grace when it's due.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, there are different biomarkers that you can track if your cycle is irregular or regular. Like, you're not, there are just other ways to be aware of that. But you're right. Like, that has been the number one way to mentally break myself out of that cycle. Like, continually beating myself up for not performing at a 10 all the time, which, like, we weren't meant to function. And I'm not like a collegiate athlete or like a professional athlete, like,
Yeah,
there is no reason for me to fight to be sub 10% body fat.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh gosh, I went through my phase of that. It's so bad. Oh man. Yeah.
So let's hear it. What was that like for you during those stages where you were like on the opposite end of the spectrum, like, and just being like, fitness and workouts and food is
Yes.
the air and life that I live.
It's my life. I am working out, food. I
Yes.
am that.
I am
yeah,
health.
I am health. And it's so, I've actually been thinking about that lately of like doing healthy the healthy way. Because like nowadays people, and I shouldn't say people, I did this. So like that's kind of where all my story unravels is I got out of college and I actually worked at Soul BMW. So I sold cars for a year and a half. That's where I met my husband. But when I was working there, I worked 8 to 8. Pretty much every day I was working. I worked a lot because it was full commission and I was just like, I need to be there. And because I worked from 8 to 8, I didn't have the energy after work to work out. So I was like, okay, I guess I have to wake up at 4:30 and work out. So for a year and a half, I woke up at 4:30 and I would get my workout in and then I'd get ready and I'd have a huge breakfast. I mean, I would sit down and probably eat 900 calories there, just sitting, like 900 calories right there.
Yeah.
And then I would get up and I wore 6-inch heels to work every day. And so I'd be in heels, like I'm on my toes all day long, and I'd probably walk 15 to 20,000 steps a day, if not more. I walked a lot because that's what the job is. You're just walking everywhere. So I would do that, and then I wouldn't eat lunch because I'd be so busy working. And then I'd come back home, and I would have like a bowl of cereal or something, like something really little, and I'd go to sleep, or like a chicken breast. And it wasn't because I was like, I need to look lean. It was just like, that's how my life looked. And then I went through this, like, when I started dating Davis, he was like, let's go out to get lunch and let's go do these things. And I was like, okay. So we like would go out to get lunch and I started eating and like I would actually eat food. And when I would eat food, I just noticed my body like leaned up. Like, I mean, it was like just sucked up. And I was like, whoa, like what is happening? And I had no idea like what was going on. And so that was like a year and a half. And then when we were engaged, we dated for 4 months. It was kind of just, I don't even remember. I just was eating, working out, kind of doing normal things. Because when we were engaged, I was unemployed for those 4 months. I quit school and I just took a break. And my dad gave me that advice. He's like, just plan the wedding, enjoy this time, and then get a job when you get married. So I was like, okay. And then when we got married, I started working out at F45 and I loved it. Like the community, I actually met some of my best friends there. The community was amazing. My coaches were amazing. And it was just fun. I've never done anything that was like classes before. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And after I leaned out like that crazy amount when I started like eating lunches and stuff, then my body kind of like increased in weight again and kind of plateaued. And then when I started at 45, my body got leaner than I've ever gotten in my life. Like I probably was like 14 or 15% body fat. I was very, very lean. And I loved it. Oh my gosh. That was when I was like, hey, oh my gosh, I just love looking this lean. And it was just like, I felt like for the first time in my life, I had, and I quote this, like my dream body. Like I truly felt that way. And I don't know, again, I didn't do anything different. I just started going to F45 and I would eat really healthy Monday through Friday. And then I'd go wild on Saturday and Sunday. And that lasted for 6-7 months. I was like extremely lean. I was eating that same way. And it felt great. And then my body just, again, started like gaining weight and plateauing. And that was when my like obsession just like clicked because like I hit that point in my body where I was like, oh, this is what I wanted to look like. Like I never even knew I wanted to look this way until I did. And that was what's sad about it is I didn't even know I wanted to look that way. And then I hit it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I'll do anything to stay like this. Oh yeah. It's like, it was just like, it was unfortunate. I mean, it's fortunate in the long term because I've learned so much, but in the moment it was an unfortunate thing where that's where I was basing my like happiness, not even just happiness, but like more of my confidence in. And so I went through that whole thing, and that was when my obsession kind of like became a thing, when I started gaining the weight back and like plateauing. And this time I was gaining weight and like more of like a very stubborn area kind of way. Like I was gaining weight in places I never did before. I was getting more cellulite than I ever had before. And so I think on top of just really wanting to be lean, the fact that this type of weight gain has never happened for me before, it just got even more obsessive. So I started like weighing all my food. And when I'm talking weighing all my food, like I'm not talking like, oh, I count a rough calorie, like 300, 1,700 to 2,000 calorie range. Give myself grace. It was like if I took a bite of something, I logged it.
You
And
tracked it.
oh yeah. And if I was out somewhere, I got anxiety if I didn't know if there was calories on the menu. And it was like, and I've said this before, I shared it on my Instagram, but I would like look at a menu and I would pick restaurants for my friends that I knew had calories. I'd pick that restaurant. I'd pick my meal like the night before or like the day before.
Yep.
And then I would wake up, we'd go, I'd be like mentally preparing like, okay, Jacqueline, you're going to eat this. Like it was, it's so wild now. I look back at it. And we would go, and then I would open the menu like I've never seen it before. And then I'd be like, I'm going to look at the menu. I'm going to look at the menu as if this is the first time I'm ever looking at it. And then I would pick the meal, shocker, that I picked 24 hours before. And that's like how I live my life. Like it was very obsessive. And like my poor husband, he just went through it with me. And like he would say little commentary in there like, you'll be fine if you have that one bite. It's okay. Like he would say things like that. But I think he was kind of at a point where he's like, she needs to learn on her own and she'll get there. And I think he just had faith in me, and like he trusted in the Lord's plan for me that like I'd get out of it. And to be like, I don't know if it's like to be fair or just to be honest, like I truly from like my deepest part of my core thought that my intentions were good. I was like,
Yeah.
my goal is just to be like 17% body fat. Like it's to be healthy. Like this is all a goal, and goals are good. And like I was just telling myself this, like goals are good and it's a healthy goal. And so I truly like when I was doing that whole menu thing, I wasn't even like trying to sneak it from my friends. I was just doing it thinking this is what's best for me. So I didn't even like give, but in turn, I wasn't even giving my friends to like a chance to keep me accountable. Like I wasn't even giving my friends a chance to be like, hey, Jacqui, like, what are you doing? Like, chill, it's okay. And I noticed that like, and what was sad about it is I was working out. I was doing high intensity workouts every morning. I was doing 45 minutes to an hour of that. And I am the type that like, I push myself really hard when I work out. So I would push myself extremely hard, and I would lift heavy when I'm doing HIIT workouts and all the things. And then I would walk 10,000 steps minimum a day. I would like make myself like, my husband would be sitting watching TV and I'd be in the background like walking if I didn't get them in. Yes. He even got me like a little pad, because at first it started out like a fun thing. So he's like, I'll get you a little walking pad. And then it became obsessive and I was just walking all the time. And so I'm working out every morning. I'm walking that much. I'm doing all the things of life in general that burn calories already, like talking and cooking dinner and moving and all those things. And then I was eating. So I started out eating 1,600 calories.
Wow.
I know, which is like, I probably need like 1,300 or 1,400 to survive. Like if I didn't move all day, if I didn't do anything, just to live on top of all the things I'm doing. So I started out 1,600, and I noticed like the tiniest, I mean, by tiny, I mean tiniest bit of like muscle gain and fat and like body fat loss, like tiny bit. And when I saw that tiny bit, I was like, ooh, this is working. So I stayed at 1,600 for another week, and it stayed that way the next week. And when I saw it stayed that way, I was like, I gotta lessen it. So I would go either do like 1,450, like 1,450 calories, or 1,500 calories a day. And I'm telling you, like I would get to the point where I would call my friends and I would have like a mental breakdown. I'd be crying. I'd be like, I'm so hungry. And I was like bawling, crying. And I'm like,
right.
And one thing I didn't touch on, I touched on a little bit, but I have PCOS. And so I found out I had PCOS September of 2021. And so when I was going through all of this, and that was when the weight gain kind of started happening, like after F45. And so at this point, when I'd like call my friends, again, not giving them a chance to be like, hey, Jacqueline, maybe check your life. And they didn't know I was eating this little. Like, they didn't understand that I was eating like that little amount.
You weren't eating.
Right. I really wasn't eating. And I was putting such crap in my body. Like, I would put every night, my dessert had like sugar-free Jello packets or pudding packets in it, and like all that just to have low calorie, when really like that was probably making my PCOS and my hormones even worse. Eating the amount I was making, or lack thereof, was making it worse. All these things were hurting my hormones. And I would just like, it was just wild. And so when I would call my friends crying and like having these like breakdowns, I would call them and be like, it's my PCOS. Because with PCOS, your hunger hormone can be off, and you have like really intense cravings and stuff. And so I told them, I'm like, it's my PCOS, and like, it's just so frustrating, and I don't get why my body is this, and blah, 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 blah. And so I started going to gynecologists, and I probably went to, I don't know, gosh, in my time since I've known I've had PCOS, in general, I've been to probably like 10 or 15. And from the time I found out I had PCOS, I've gone to like 6 or something.
Yeah.
And every time I'd go, it's like they were truly just trying to shove birth control. Like, that was their way of
I have a whole
fixing the
thoughts on that.
problem. Oh, I know, me too. And like, I never did until now, but like, my intentions, and like the Lord used all of this, because my intentions when going to the gynecologist were very much like, I said, I want to figure out my hormones. And I would tell my friends, like, maybe this will help with my eating and stuff. But in the back of my mind, I was like, well, maybe I can figure out my hormones, and then therefore I can eat a little bit more, but still lose weight. Like, it was all about like, weight. But I never said it out loud. And again, I thought my intentions were like fine. It was truly something the Lord needed to convict me of, because nothing anyone else said was going to change my mind. And so I went, and I had a pretty rough experience with one where I felt like she was on my side. Like, I really did tell her, like, I don't want to, that's the one thing. You can tell me to eat 1.5 grapes at 7:00 p.m. every night, and I'll try it. But like, I don't want to do birth control. Like, you can do the most obscure things, but birth control, I'm not going to do. I've done that before. I did it for 3 months at the beginning of my marriage, and it wrecked me. It made me a different human, and I was like, never again. Thankfully, I only did it for like 3 or 4 months, but still, it was not a good experience. And so I told her that, and she was very much like, we'll figure it out. And then the 3rd or 4th appointment, she took some blood work, but she didn't actually take my hormones. And she did blood work, and after that, I was like, so can we like, maybe nothing was wrong with my blood. So I was like, can maybe we like run my hormones, see what's like not like out of whack, and maybe we can do something. And she word for word said, well, it's pointless to do that because your hormones are already messed up. So if we take a like panel of it, they're just going to show that they're messed up. And I was like, she used the word pointless too. And I was like, okay, well, can we maybe figure out what's off? And then maybe I can like figure out supplements or something. And she was like, it just wouldn't really make sense. And at that point, I like stopped. I was like, I'm not going to keep being my own advocate this much. Like, you should want to help me regardless. And it's not pointless to run those tests. That's like the craziest thing I've ever heard. And so I got off that phone call. My husband got back came back home for his lunch break, and I just like broke down, and I just started crying, and I was like, my body is a huge question mark. I don't understand. I'm like, I just started crying, and he like hugged me. He's like, it's okay. And he just talked with me through it. And then when we went back to work, I like sat on the couch, and I just cried and prayed for 2 hours. And I was like, just talking to God, like, oh my gosh, like, this is just such a pain. And then it was like, truly in my mind, it was like a spiritual intervention of like the Lord, like being like, hey, I've been here the whole time trying to tell you this. And I just sat there, and I probably, if anyone saw me, like if there was a camera on me, they'd be like, she's crazy.
Yeah.
Because for like 30 seconds, I was like, why? And then I just went like, why? And I just kind of kept like asking why, but not like, why, God? Why would you put me through this? It was like, why do I care so much about being lean? Like, what am I, like, if I'm being honest with myself, the whole point of going to the gynecologist was so that I could find a way to eat more and still be lean. Like, it wasn't just to figure out my hormones. And so I like sat there in prayer for 2 hours, and I was just like, why do I why do I care so much? And I realized that my insecurity wasn't the classic insecurity of like looking in the mirror being like, you're ugly, you're so fat, da 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 da. It was the insecurity of not feeling content, where like I could look in the mirror and be like, yeah, you look healthy, you look great, but I want more. And like, I'm not going to be happy till I get more. And that might not seem like an insecurity, but it is. And that hit me, that slapped me right in the face. And I was like, wow, like I've just been living my life out of this insecurity and like not being content with where I am. And like, I work hard for where I'm at. Like, I should just be proud of the fact that I work hard and I use my discipline every day to do this. And I'm trying to have a
Right.
healthy life. And then it just hit me like the longer I sat in prayer, the longer I was like, I'm not even being healthy. Like I have
Yeah.
been given one body and I am treating it like absolute crap. Like I'm putting stuff, chemicals in it, additives in it. I'm just doing like all the things under the sun that I should not be doing to my body. And then I'm not eating enough in general. Like it was just a huge realization for me. And I just sat there in prayer and was like, okay. And I just made a decision. I'm like, I'm not going to count calories anymore. I'm not going to weigh my food anymore. I'm going to be happy with where I'm at. In fact, I'm going to eat more. And if I end up gaining weight, I'm going to be happy about gaining weight. Like I told myself, I'm like, I'm going to, and I'm going to look in the mirror. And if I see more weight on me, I'm going to say, that is what you need. Like I'm going to look at myself and say, you're beautifully and wonderfully made. And I'm going to fight every single thing that Satan's trying to tell me in this process, because I know it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to go through
Right.
it. And so I did. And even if I'd have like a moment in the mirror, if my brain even went like, ugh, you know, like something tiny, like not like, oh, you're so ugly, but just like, ugh, I would out loud, and I still do this, like out loud, I say, you're beautifully and wonderfully made. I just say any kind of biblical truth that comes to my mind to fight it, because, and it's so crazy how much it works and how much my life has like
Yeah.
flipped upside down. And I eat food now. It's so amazing. I say this, I've said this to my friends and they thought it was so funny, but like I used to never eat an egg yolk ever, because I'm like, there's calories in the egg yolk and more calories, and I can get protein with just egg whites and the fats and blah, blah, blah. And I started eating egg yolks again. Oh my gosh, you should see how many, like I eat, the eggs, the joy I get from eating my eggs in the morning is like none other. And it's crazy how you can just like restrict yourself so much. And when you actually start eating healthy, good foods, and like I went in my pantry, took out all the additives, took out all the sugar-free stuff, and I just put like whole foods in
Yep.
there now. And I'm like, if I'm hungry, I used to not eat berries. I used to not eat like fruit because of the sugar.
Girl, bananas were the devil to me because they were too carb heavy.
Me too. That and pineapple. It's so funny. I was always like, if I'm going to eat any fruit at all, it's going to be berries. But like, do I really want to put my calories towards strawberries when I can be putting it to sugar-free Jell-O? Like, it just was ridiculous. And so I just had like a come to Jesus moment. And ever since, it's been the only time I ever weigh my food is if I like need to get enough. And sometimes I don't know if I'm eating enough, so I weigh it to get enough. Like I did that with I have 2 eggs and I do egg whites with it. And so I measure the egg whites to make sure I'm getting enough of it. But that's the only time I really measure anything. My life feels so much more free. Like food freedom is it's a real thing. Yeah. And it's crazy how Satan used like my biggest passion and the thing I enjoyed the most in my life outside my relationships, you know, and my family and my marriage and stuff. He used
Yeah.
my biggest passion to like sneak his way in there and turn it into like my biggest anxiety. And I just was like, I'm not going to let that happen anymore. Like, that's not what health is about. And like, what's crazy is like when I would go to the gym and I'd see girls in like their spandex shorts or whatever, or like their shirt, and I'd see like cellulite somewhere, like under their butt or something like that. I remember like or like stretch marks, like say they've had kids or something. I remember I'd see it and I'd be like, wow, like that tells a story. That's so cool. Like I love that they're just out there being a woman, because
Yeah.
it's so normal,
Yeah.
like for girls to have these things, and you can be in amazing shape and still have cellulite and still have stretch marks and all those things. And I always would look at other girls and be like, "Oh, what a story. Like that's so cool. Like I want to know about them." But then I'd look at myself and see it and be like, you're not doing enough. And I just changed the narrative. Like it's not about that, you know? So that's,
Yeah.
and then Honeycomb Training came probably 2 weeks later. I was still in that process of like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my personal training certification. And I was in the kitchen with my husband and my friend. And so we were just talking, and I was watching Shark Tank for like 3 weeks straight, and they're so passionate on that show. And I was like, I want something that I
Yeah.
feel that way about. And I was telling them that in the kitchen. We were all laughing. And then I was like, what if I just like, I don't know why I even thought of this, but I was like, what if I just started a YouTube channel? And then I was like, oh my gosh. And I like stopped and I was like, what if I started a YouTube channel? And to preface, like, social media, recording myself, it's honestly like one of my biggest fears. Like, you can ask my family, you can ask anyone. Like, I don't like being in front of a camera recorded. I don't like TikToks and like all those goofy skits. Like, I still have to do them alone. Like, I can't have anyone watching me because I get so nervous for some reason. I just don't like it. But I was like, I truly feel such a passion of like, every girl I've told my story to has said they've dealt with it. Every girl. And it's so crazy. I've talked to a girl who's like, yeah, at one point I was 80 pounds. And I'm like, oh no, we need to
Wow.
we need to talk. Like, we need to like keep this positive message going. And so I think the message and the being able to help other women, it trumps any fear I could have of cameras and whatnot. And honestly, the fear of like putting yourself out there, and like, I don't have a lot of followers. I don't yet. I'm hoping it grows, but like, I don't have a lot of like all these things yet. But like, that's where you put in the work and you use your discipline to do it. And like, the idea that I could help and I tell myself, if I'm helping one more girl than I did yesterday, then that's enough for me.
Yeah.
And it's been so fun. It's just been the best.
Which is crazy because like even just sharing like food fear of like, I did the whole eggs. I remember living with some girls in college that were super active, but they like put egg yolks in their eggs. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, you're like, wait.
Can we do that? Like almost like I had to ask for permission. Or I shamefully, I don't know if I mentioned this on a podcast episode or not, but I shamefully was the girl that brought the Greek yogurt to Chipotle.
Nice.
Instead of getting sour cream.
Love that. I would straight up, oh my gosh, I'm thinking about this. I would do that stuff too. Like, I had these, I never did like the keto diet, but sometimes keto stuff had like less calories or less carbs or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would get like keto hamburger buns. And like, if me and my husband would go to a barbecue place, I would bring my own hamburger bun in a bag so that I could eat my meat with the hamburger bun, like a pulled pork sandwich or whatever.
Yep, to be able to have the carbs. Yeah,
I feel for my husband because that poor guy, he just watched me do the craziest stuff. But yeah, I mean, when you feel comfortable and you feel like, that's the thing, is like, it's not something I'm ashamed of. It's just something I grew through. And so I don't have shame from it. I had conviction from it for sure, but I didn't have shame from it. And if I'm not afraid to share it with people, like, it's a disservice to not help or try to help other people who are going through the same thing.
Which I'm so thankful for the Lord's work in your life. And I definitely can empathize with so many areas of that because I walked through that on my own, and the Lord forced me out of that through pregnancy. Because pregnancy was the first time I ever allowed myself to eat like real foods.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that on your podcast.
Which is so crazy to think back now, because now with just like the research and capacity that I've had to look at nutrition more holistically, and like understanding the light bulb went off one day that it was like, just because it's low calorie doesn't mean that it's healthy. And for so many years of my life,
right,
I only ate low calorie because I was chasing the smaller body, not realizing now how horrible all of those substitutes are. So like, one of my simple joys now is I eat real butter on everything.
Isn't that great? Isn't that so great?
Oh my gosh, I'm done with like 0 calorie. I have issues now with the 0 calorie syrup because it's like,
oh yeah,
no, I'm gonna eat real maple syrup.
Real maple syrup. Yes, that was me. Like, we still have a bottle in there that I need to throw out because I just like, I don't use it anymore. I guess I just didn't think about throwing it out yet. And I look at it, and sometimes I almost look at it just to be like, that's what I used to do. Like, maybe I won't throw it out. Maybe I'll just look at it and be like, that's the
I
crap I used
know.
to eat. And now I don't anymore. And the thing is, like, I'm still in the process of healing my metabolism and my hormones. And that's a journey that, like, I think it's going to take a little while for me, just because for a while I was hurting my body. But um, yeah, I don't know. It's so crazy. And what I've learned though is, like, when you do heal your metabolism, the point of your metabolism is, like, it's not, our metabolisms don't like slow down until we're like 60 or something. They really like
Mm-hmm.
work. And the only reason they're slow is because we put so much bad stuff into our bodies. And so I've been learning that if your metabolism is healed and good, which I believe it's like high 80s, like 80 something percent of people have ruined metabolisms, which is why our metabolisms slow down. Um,
Yep.
but if your metabolism's running, or you can heal it and get it back to functioning correctly, then it really, your body is meant to like burn the calories properly and do all that. That's why you
Yeah.
see these girls online who are like, I eat 2,800 calories a day and they look amazing. It's because they're
Their body
doing the
does
right
it.
things. Yeah, like they're doing the right things. Like they never ate 1,200 calories, or maybe they did, and then they took a few years of healing it, and now they can eat
Yep.
2,800 calories and look great. And so I've just learned, like, slowly increasing my calories, still weight training, and I've been learning more about PCOS and doing more like low intensity cardio and stuff like that. So doing more of that, but just like, it's a process, and it's something that doesn't happen overnight, and enjoying the process of it.
It's good to recognize the fact that, one, it doesn't happen overnight, and two, like, your bodies were made to heal. Like, the Lord created our bodies with the sovereign design to
Yeah.
progress well if we steward it well. So that means like eating whole foods. That means like
Right.
eating real meats. Like, that means not substituting your nutrient dense, probably calorie dense items
Right.
for low calorie substitutes. So one of the things I wanted to definitely touch on, because it's been a conversation I've had with several other women and even men in the transition post college,
Yeah.
because I think in this like young adult world, and even as women transition into motherhood and postpartum and later stages of life,
Mm-hmm.
I think people have a hard time transitioning from the I'm in college, or I have this job, or I have this space that my workout time is cut out for me. You know, like in college, I'd go to class, I'd have the capacity to go to the gym for 2 hours if I wanted to. Step,
Right. Right.
like roll out to the pool and then hang out with friends and it'd be
Yeah.
fine. And then, like you said, you graduated, you started a big girl job, and then it's like, wait a minute, what margin do I have to be
Where's my
healthy?
time?
Yeah. And then it's like you become a mom and your body is not your own, beginning, middle, or end. And you're like, okay, where is my margin to be healthy?
Right.
So what encouragement would you give to those women that are thinking, like, whether it's, I'm in school, I'm just finished school, I'm a young adult doing big girl job things, or I'm a young mom trying to be healthy in motherhood.
Yeah.
How do you encourage space for margin to be healthy? Because like you said earlier, it's not this like big thing we make it up to be.
Yeah. So I guess it would be a little bit not even different. There's just a few things, like a couple things for each scenario, like whether you're just single or married, but just out of school versus being a mom. And
Yeah.
I think it's a mixture of discipline, but also like giving yourself that grace. And so, like, for me, if I'm going to be honest, like, when something is your passion, it's a lot easier to do it. Like, yes, I still have days where I don't want to, but for the most part, like, I love it. Like, going to the gym is like so fun for me, and like seeing how heavy I can lift, and like, can I go 10 pounds heavier than I did yesterday? I love it. So
Mm-hmm.
being unbiased and like looking at it from the perspective of someone who's like, I don't really even like going to the gym that much, but I just know I should. Like, you have to be able to give yourself some grace, because it's not necessarily easy, but there is an extent of discipline that's needed. So I would say, if you're just out of college, or a couple years after college or whatnot, or you just have like a busy work schedule or whatever, start out with like one day a week, And I know that sounds like that's not even going to make a difference, but like sometimes you have to ease into it. You can't just be like, I'm going to do it 5 days a week and I'm going to cut out all my favorite foods. And like, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
So
No.
start with 1 or 2 days a week and tell yourself, I'm going to get 30 minutes in. You can get a good workout in 30 minutes. Like on my YouTube channel, I do 10-minute workouts. I do 20-minute workouts. I do 30, I do 15. And let me tell you, sometimes after those 10-minute workouts, I am dying. Like my muscles are, and the next day I'm sore. Like you can get good workouts in without being there for 2 hours, being there for an hour, hour and a half. So start with 1 or 2 days a week. Go for 30 minutes. Everyone can find 30 minutes in their day. I do know that. Like we couldn't, the thing is I would wake up at 4:30 with my crazy job because I would work out for an hour and 20 minutes. So I'd wake up at 4:30, go downstairs, and then I'd be done at like 6:30 and come up, have to eat and shower and go. But if I only worked out for 30 minutes and just got a good workout in 30 minutes, I wouldn't have to be down there at 4:30. So yes, where the discipline comes in is, yes, you still would have to wake up early, right? Like you still would have to set your alarm and get up and do it. But it can be a lot less intimidating to say, I'm going to go 1 or 2 times this week. I'm going to do it for 30 minutes. Once I feel good and like that's something I can get used to, I'll add on a day. I'll do 3 days a week. At the end of the day, you really only have to do like 4 days a week of good workouts to see it. And then like go on walks, go do something active on the days you're not working out. You don't have to lift crazy heavy weights all the time. It's actually not good for you to like be pushing yourself too hard. So, slowly work yourself up to that 3 to 4 days a week and split it up into body parts. So like 2 of those days. So when you're doing 2 days a week, upper body and lower body. When you're doing 3 days a week, upper, lower, full. When you're doing 4 days a week, 2 upper, 2 lower, and then an active recovery day where you're walking. You're just doing, maybe some ab workouts if you want to, like something like that. It's just easing into it. You don't want to, anything you jump into full force, even if it's a passion, you can get burnt out on. So you just want to be careful, give yourself grace, but also recognize like there will be some discipline in there that you will need. And then as a mother, I would say it's vital, and not just for you, it's vital to be active and work out and do it in front of your kids. Like kids learn so much from their mom and dad. And say you are a stay-at-home mom, or say you're not a stay-at-home mom. Say you work and your husband works, and then you get home and you pick up your son or daughter from daycare and you come home and you have time to work out, or say it's before work, do it in front of them. Like even if you're doing bodyweight workouts outside, if you get a pair of dumbbells and do it at home, you can do so. Again, you don't have to go to a gym to get a good workout. Like get some dumbbells and do them at home. Doing it at home in front of your child, like they'll grow up knowing this is healthy and this is what I should do. And they'll see their own mom treating themselves with respect and honoring their bodies and truly valuing the body that they've been given for this one life. So it's so important to do in front of your children. And I don't have my own children yet, but I do know when I do, I'm going to prioritize them seeing that in some way, shape, or form, whether it's just the going on walks, whether it's the actual workouts, whatever it is, I want them to be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're, like I've talked about on my platform, like there are motherhood movements, like mama movements, like a squat.
Yeah.
I do all day long, whether it's to pick up my son, toys off the floor, to get down underneath the couch and pull out the toys that he shoved under there, like
holding him with one arm. I
am functionally stronger now than I've been probably in years past doing all the things. And I actually weigh less than what I did in high school. So in terms of women that are like looking at the scale, throw it away.
Yeah.
That's always that's always my recommendation.
I know. I don't ever weigh myself anymore.
There's a lot. You've completely hit the nail on the head in this conversation. Like health looks more than just what you eat and how you move. So, Jacqui, this has been so fun. I would love to plug your YouTube channel. Where can we connect with you on Instagram or any other stuff that you have going on for us?
Yeah, that would be great. My Instagram and my TikTok are just Jacquilyne Keene. So it's just my first and last name for my Instagram and TikTok. And then on YouTube, which is where all my workouts are. And I also post my like my YouTube shorts and stuff like that, because a lot of my other content, my longer videos are workout videos, and then my shorter videos are more of like encouragement, something that can maybe give you like, you can giggle a little bit at. It's just goofy, it's fun, and then sometimes educational advice and stuff like that. That is Honeycomb Training.
Awesome. Well, I like all of that for our listeners, and this has been so fun.
I know. I loved it.
So I have one last question that we close for all of our guests. If you could provide any wisdom to your younger self or for our community that is listening, what would you share?
Yeah. Honestly, I would say that like what I've realized through my whole process and my whole journey is at the end of your life, you won't be remembered from your abs, your toned arms, your bubble butt, or like any other part of your body. So yes, being healthy and taking care of your body, taking care of the body that you were given is amazing. And in fact, it's biblical. But don't stress over the little things that you see as imperfections. That are totally normal, like cellulite and stretch marks and any of those things. And like if you lean over and you have some rolls in your stomach, like scars on whatever part of your body, like that's normal, especially for women. Like these things are very normal. And they tell a story, and with that story, you might be able to serve other people someday, and you might be able to help other people and relate to them. So just keep the main thing. And it's just to focus on overall health and being strong and being capable. And when you're in your 80s, you'll be able to do things on your own without having everyone do things for you. It's building strength and it builds strength overall. It builds it mentally, physically, spiritually, all of it. So that's what I would say.
Yes, I love that. Well, Jacqui, thank you so much for this conversation. It was so fun.
I loved it. It was so fun.
So I will definitely get all that linked for you and shared for our community, but we will catch you guys on the next episode.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening, friend. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you don't want to miss any wisdom or encouragement, be sure to subscribe to the show. And don't forget to rate and review. Your feedback means so much and helps our community grow. If you're looking for more wellness wisdom and free resources, head over to livingwiselywell.com or get connected with me on Instagram at wiselywell. And if you're looking for a break from the hurried health lifestyle, check out my Return to Rest resource for tangible ways to slow down and finally find rest.